Hi guys, this is the fourth video for the Bing Scraper series, and in the first video we had looked at a diagram on how we'll be approaching this project. Second video we started outlining these functions. The third video, which was the previous video, we started working on this Bing Scrape function, and in this fourth video we'll start working on the build URLs function. So let's get started. Now the build Bing URL function, it's going to take all these four different things. So let's start writing those down. So these four parameters, which will be the search term and the country will be string. Then we'll take pages and we'll take count, which will be int again. And it returns two things, right? It returns either a string, which are basically the list of Bing pages, like a slice of strings, I mean, or it returns an error. So we'll have to define that as well. So we'll say a slice of strings and it returns an error. So let's create a variable called toScrape, which will be a slice of string and empty. Sorry, slice of strings, and for now it will be empty. And this toScrape is what we're going to basically return from this function, which will be of type slice string, right? The toScrape is that variable. Now, whatever search term we receive from our main function, then that goes to Bing Scrape function and comes here. Whatever search term that we receive, we're going to have to replace all the spaces in that function, in that search term, with plus. So if you've ever seen how search queries work with, let's say, Google search query or Bing search query, you know that spaces, or if they're two different words, right, they need to have a plus in between them. So if you try searching something on Google, you'll see all these. So if you say what is the name of the best football team, for example, so between all of these different words there will be plus signs there. So that basically is a way for us to tell Google that, you know, this is the entire search query and it has all these pluses in between. So that's what we have to do here. So we'll say search term, and we'll have to use our strings package here. So we'll say strings.trim, and we'll give it the search term and the space, and then we'll say search term is equal to strings dot replace all these spaces with the plus sign. Okay, and here we'll say now this is completely optional, right? In the sense you can send this here or not, or maybe the country code that you'll send here is not there in Bing domains. So we'll have to search for the country code that we receive here in our Bing domains, and if we find that, then we'll be able to create the query. Otherwise we'll say that this country that you've sent us here to this function is not supported because it's not part of our Bing domains map. So I hope that makes sense. And so what we'll do here is we'll say Bing domains, and inside we'll say country. So the country that you'll pass here, like com or UK or US, so we'll try to search that in our Bing domains, all right, in our map. And so let's put an if statement here. So we'll say if country code comma found. If the country code is found, then we'll run a for loop. So we'll say I equal to 0 comma I less than pages, the pages that you send here, how many pages that you want to extract from Bing, and you'll say I plus plus. Sorry, there's a semicolon out here, so we'll say I plus plus. And for the duration of that for loop, we'll have to do something, right? We'll have to create those scrape URLs, and then we'll create those scrape URLs, and then we'll append that to this toScrape slice, and that's the slice that we'll return. But outside of this if statement, we want to write something. So we want to say, if you find that country code here, then obviously you go ahead and create your build URL, your Bing URL. Otherwise, you will send out an error saying country code, which is %s. So this %s helps us to format this entire string here. Right, so you can take the country variable and you can put that here with the help of %s is currently not supported. So whatever country is there in our like com or UK or whatever we pass here, if it's not there as part of our Bing domains, it's going to say that this country is not supported. And you're just going to return nil for the Bing URL strings, and you'll return an error. And at the end of this program, all you have to return is toScrape, okay, which is this variable that we'll soon be working on, and we'll return nil for the error, right? And that reminds me that from our bring scrape function, we didn't return anything, right? So after our time sleep, we'll have to return the results, comma, nil for the error. So these are results that are returned, they're captured here, or if there's an error, so you return nil for the result, but error for the error. And accordingly, we'll handle the error and print out the results. So far, so good. So let's go back to our build Bing URL function. And here, by mistake, there's a capital O. It should be a small o. And here, what we want to do is we want to create a scrape URL, right? So we'll say scrape URL is equal to fmt.sprintf, and we'll write the whole link here, right? So the link is bing.com/search $Q is equal to %s, %s, and then we'll say and first is equal to %d ampersand count is equal to %d and %s. So sprintf helps us to format out this string completely. And now there are all these different things, right? So there's this query term, then you have your first, then you have the count, and then this %s at the end is your country code. All right, like .com or .uk or whatever like that. So what we're going to do is we're going to write down all the variables here. So for this %s, we have search term, and search term already has all those pluses between wherever there was space. So here we have something called as first. We have our count, the number of search results that you want. First is basically your pages, right? How many pages do you want? And after your count, you have your country code. All right. Now for first, what we have to do is we have to say first parameter, and we'll say I comma count. So first basically will be the pages, the number of pages that we want, right? So for each page we have a separate string here. So we need these this first variable to keep changing for each of these links. And how do we do that? We use this function called first parameter to create it for us, to get this first value for us. So let me show you what this first parameter function looks like. So we'll come here and we'll say func first parameter. It takes a number, takes count, which is of type int. So number in this case is I. So in the beginning I will be 0, then I will be 1, 2, 3, and it'll go till the place time where in the number of pages that you have specified, right? So it could be 9 or 10 or whatever the number of pages you've specified. So I will keep changing. So this first parameter function is called every single time, and like I said, this link is created fresh or anew for every single page that you want to scrape. Alright, so that's what this first is here for. And in this function, you just return an int, which will be the value of first here. So like page 1, page 2, page 3, right? And every single time this link is getting created with all of these different variables as well. And that's what we're going to be, the scrape URL, basically we're going to keep actually let me do that so everything will make more sense to you. So basically we're going to keep appending our scrape URL into our toScrape slice. So it's toScrape, and this again will become a part of toScrape, and this toScrape is basically what we're returning. Right, so I'm sure everything now makes a lot more sense. So you create scrape URLs again for every single page. Let's say if you want 20 pages, so you'll have 20 of these links, and all of these 20 different links with all these search term and first, and with the page number which is first, and then the count number of search terms that you the results that you want on each page, and the .com or .uk that you want. So all of these links are getting created in scrape URL, gets appended to the slice called toScrape, and then that's the slice that you return. And this first you get with the help of this first parameter function. I'm trying to explain every single line. I'm trying to go as slow as possible because I've received some comments from you guys that I don't explain every single line. So I'm trying to do that. But if you still don't understand anything, do drop in a comment and I can sort it out for you. So you don't have to worry. I mean, don't panic because I'm always there. I can always help you out in the comments. All right. So if number is equal to 0. Now the first thing that I will be, the first value of I will obviously be 0 because this for loop starts from 0, goes up to the number of pages that you have passed here, right? So it starts with 0. So if this I is 0, then you're going to say number, you're going to return number plus 1. That's because Bing doesn't understand 0. It understands that, okay, you want page 1, you want page 2, like that. It doesn't understand 0, right? So that's why if it's 0, then you have to pass number plus 1. Otherwise, you just return number into count plus 1. Make sense? So very simple, and you have built your Bing URLs function very easily, and I'm sure everything makes sense to you. In Bing URL function and in Bing script function, everything makes sense. In our next video, we're going to be working on our scrape client request and Bing result parser functions. We may not be able to cover both in just one video. Maybe we might require separate videos for each of these functions. Who knows? Let's see, right? And this video I'm going to keep it short, and I recommend that you watch all of these separate videos on different days if you're new to Golang. By new to Golang, I mean that you know the basics, but you want to actually start applying your knowledge somewhere. And but if you're an experienced Golang developer and you want to build it quickly, you can simply watch all of them in one go and pick up the code from GitHub, and you're good to go, right? You don't need to understand much. And so do stay subscribed to the channel so that you come to know when the next video of this series comes out. And thanks a lot for watching. See you in the next episode.